sinking. Ah, but don't miss this moment, oh so fleeting. There is so much in living that you must do, but somewhere near I'm just here to love you. To love you.
Welcome to Celebration of Life, for a very unusual life for a very unusual man. Robbie was someone who navigated through the shoals of life. I'm using as many navigation metaphors as I can squeeze in. Robbie loved the sea, apparently got seasick in a bathtub, but what's amazing to me about Robbie, and many of you know him far better than I did, I was fortunate to work with him for a few years, is that Robbie was as talented a musician as I've ever known. He was as fine a writer as walked this earth. And for reasons of a wide range of reasons, Robbie never got famous. We know that. But if you look out here today, the thing that you can see is that Robbie touched so many lives. Without fame, without people screaming, he made us all feel something. So much so that we wanted to take this beautiful day and come and remember this beautiful life. So I'd like to thank you for coming. This program will be approximately an hour, a little bit over. We're going to have songs, we're going to have videos, we're going to have memories, both live and recorded. There was only room for some of the people that wanted to sing, to say something about Robbie. This is another measure of how many lives he touched. At the end of the event, if you'd like to sign a remembrance book, which is over at that table there, and jot down some memories you may have had of Robbie, that would be certainly most appreciated. We begin with Pat Nickerson. Okay, and here you are. Then after that, people will just be coming in order.
Kathleen asked me to speak first, because she said I was Robbie's oldest friend. I said, just a minute. I think there's some older than me. And she said, no. I mean, you knew him the longest, and that's okay by me. When I first met him, he was only 12. That dates me, doesn't it? So if just a few words, I know Carl's very nervous about what I might say, aren't you, Carl? Once upon a time, 50 plus years ago, a family of 6 built a round house in Jordan Bay, and since then have given us so many years of beautiful and meaningful music. I met Robbie's mother, Leona, and Robbie in 1968, when she came to teach music in Lockport, where I was teaching home economics. This was long before our students realized that while knowledge feeds the mind, music feeds the soul. And Leona was far too gentle and too kind a spirit, and we soon realized she was wasted at Lockport Regional High. We became friends, and I visited often with my 3 small children, enjoying the scenery and wildlife around the roundhouse, and of course the music. Every visit, something new and magical written by Robbie and sung and played by all. I'm allergic to lilies. One day in the 80s, they beat out Demon Run, a song written by Robbie and recorded by Roger Whittaker. Since Roger was my favourite musician, singer and whistler, and I do know all his songs, Robbie asked if I'd like to meet him. You can imagine my reaction. So off we went to a Roger Whittaker concert in Halifax. I thoroughly annoyed the people around me by singing along. And worse, when Robbie came on stage, I made sure everyone knew I knew him. You know, I know him, see him up there, I know him. So I don't think they enjoyed me very much. Then Robbie took me backstage, and I sat with my two musical heroes, chatting away and getting my program signed to Pat with Love, Roger Whittaker. And I have it here. If anybody has Roger Whittaker, and I think I've kissed it a few times. The writing seems to have come off. So thank you for that exciting evening, Robbie, and thanks for your music that continues to fill us all with wonder and joy. Thank you.
Very good.
I remember the first time I saw Roger Whittaker on television. It was on the Irish Rovers program from Vancouver on the CBC. And I thought to myself, here is a real entertainer. You know, he can whistle, he can sing, and he's real tall, and what an entertainer. So I thought, wouldn't it be something if I could send him a tape so he could hear what we were doing musically.
Lights are low, and so must the curtain fall.
And I waited my chance until Roger Whittaker came to Halifax during his Canadian tour. I think it was in 1977. And just 2 days before he came, I sent a tape up to Jerry Parsons, who works at CFDR. About 3 or 4 months later, I received a package in the mail, and contained in the package were contracts and Roger Whittaker's tape and a letter saying that I'd be getting exposure all around the world. So it was a real thrill.
Street lamps are glowing.
Are you looking forward to meeting Roger Whittaker?
Oh, definitely, yes. I don't know what I'm going to say to him.
I'd like you to meet a gentleman you've heard of a lot, Robbie Smith.
Hello, Robbie.
How do you do?
I'm your fiddle player.
That's very good.
What sort of a place do you live in, for goodness sake?
It's an out-of-the-way place, I can tell you. We live in a roundhouse on Jordan Bay. This is on the south shore of Nova Scotia. It'd be very easy to find the place if you were flying, because you just circle around the house, you see, and then drive to Liverpool Airport, and we'd pick you up.
I see.
If you ever want to land for some lobsters or anything and have a good time,
Right,
Robbie,
right. Right, thank you for the great songs. They're
Yeah.
lovely songs, and we've used at least 3 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe is it 4? I know we've done at least 3 of them.
Yes.
And tonight we'll be doing a couple of them on stage, as you know that now.
I know.
Here in Halifax, we have the writer of 2 of the songs we're going to play tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to give a big, warm welcome to Mr. Robbie Smith of Halifax. Now the kids of the boat in the door, and oh, have their Robbie's gone. Oh, have their Robbie. Here now.
becomes an excellent song. The last song is fantastic. I've used that to close my show for the last year.
Goodbye, so long, farewell, au revoir. Goodbye, so long.
There ain't no fish to catch. Some days there ain't no berries hiding in the berry patch. Some days, nothing works and nothing pays. My life's been filled with some days. I hope it's better days ahead. There ain't no joy to find. Some days there ain't no forward, you can only go behind. Some days, you do your best, but you get no praise. My life's been filled with some days, I hope for better days ahead. I know you feel the need to complain, oh, with justifiable cause. Oh, but did you know that somewhere over the rainbow almost didn't make it to the Wizard of Oz? Some days there ain't no love beating in your suitor's heart. Some days the only dreams are the kind that just fall apart. Some days in a crazy maze. My life's been filled with some days. I hope it's better days ahead. I know you feel the need to complain, oh, with justifiable cause. Oh, but did you know that somewhere over the rainbow almost didn't make it? It almost didn't make it. Some days there ain't no fish to catch. Some days there ain't no berries hiding in the berry patch. Some days, nothing works and nothing pays. My life's been filled with some days, I hope it's better days ahead. Well, my life's been filled with some days, I hope it's better days ahead. My life's been filled with some days. I hope it's better days ahead.
I'm Chris Churchill, and I'm going to read something from Robbie's cousin, Dave Dings, that he wrote. Dave says, I met my cousins, the Smiths, in 1968, after they moved from Montreal to Nova Scotia, where they built their peaceful, off-the-grid roundhouse on the shores of Jordan Bay, near Shelburne. At that time, Robbie was in a wheelchair, just recovering from rheumatic fever, and he was very weak. Even then, he'd be playing his violin, his guitar, and other instruments and writing music. He was only able to play half a song on his guitar before his energy was gone, and he would have to rest for a little while. But sure enough, after a short rest, he would be back out again in his rolling chair, guitar in hand, playing the rest of the song. Robbie was a very talented and determined young man who loved music even at a very early age. Shortly after this time, I bought Robbie a battery-powered cassette tape recorder. He was very excited and immediately started recording his songs on it. Somehow, he learned how to record himself singing one of his songs while playing the guitar. Then he would tape over it while playing other instruments. He called it sound on sound. It was amazing. He developed a real genius for recording. He would also record the sounds of nature around him and incorporate them into his music too, such as birds singing and ocean waves breaking on the rocky shore. We were never able to identify a bird he recorded singing outside his bedroom window, which he included in his song Siesta. Robbie also started making cassette tapes of his many songs as he wrote them, and he would give them to me when I was visiting at the Roundhouse, or send them to me wherever I was at the time, as I lived in Miami, Florida, then moved to Alaska, and was traveling in my truck all over North America. So he called them traveling tapes. And many times they had his music on one side, and on the other side, as he called it, it was Robbie yapping on and on. My mother and her family were from Nova Scotia, and they were living in Wolfville and Hantsport at the time. So I was coming back to Nova Scotia on my way to Miami or back to Alaska. I loved those tapes and played them constantly for many years in my truck as I traveled. I treasured them and was always excited when I received a new one from Robbie. Back in the 1990s, I gathered up all my old traveling tapes and gave them back to Robbie, as I knew he would love to have the recordings of his early music. It has been said that no one ever leaves us that is remembered, and I will remember Robbie forever and always, treasure my many years of wonderful memories of him. He brought a lot of beautiful music into the world. Dave Dings.
If you're in the city in an apartment building and you're writing songs, your songs tend to be commercial and not really down to earth. And it's hard to find the inspiration to put together songs. But down here, the world, things are bigger than life, and nature's all around you, and you can come up with subjects easily. And you find things spring to mind, just like when you're out in the woods cutting down trees, you'll find that a line for a song that you've been waiting for weeks sometimes will just come into your mind, and you'll sort of rush home with a pen and put it down on paper. The actual technical part of recording my songs is presents a problem because we don't have electricity and we don't have recording equipment. So what I'm doing now is I'm sort of building up my repertoire and working on the songs while I'm in a natural environment. If I ever do get to the point where where I'm rich or famous, I think I might feel a little bit sad about it, really, because what I have now I feel is riches that you can't buy. Do you think
I have been kind to the whaler, and I have been kind to the whale, for my soul is the soul of a sailor, as I whittle the era of sail, and I carve out the whale bones awaiting the strokes of my whittling knife, and the bones in my blade find a mating that treats of the seafaring life.
Fast forward to 1989 and our 20th anniversary Woody's Children Concert. The show was on WQXR back then, and our singing guests in the New York Times Building Auditorium included Pete Seeger, Christine Lavin, Ruth Pelham, Tom Chapin, first of so many wonderful visits to come, Doug Mishkin, Teddy Schwartz, and, well, listen.
We have one more performing guest on stage, and I am thrilled that he is with us. I invited him here knowing he couldn't possibly come because he lives in Nova Scotia and indeed has not been out of the Maritime Provinces for some 20 years now, he tells me. And sure enough, he called and said, you know, it's just too far and I can't, and I'd love to. And I said, of course, I understand, but your songs have been very meaningful over the years to me and to the program. So if by any chance you change your mind, the door's open. He changed his mind. And indeed, he'll be helped out by his mother, Leona. Here is Robbie Smith.
no more words to speak, just a tender strain. Leaves us sweetly weak, makes us sweetly weak. Can you breathe new life into this road-worn song? Can you breathe new life into this road-worn song?
Hi, I'm Robbie Smith. Clara. I loved Robbie. His beautiful voice, his wonderful mind, his great sense of humor, his magic fingering when he played his guitar, his viola, his violin, and his thumb piano, his love of life. He was his love of music. He was my heart. Robbie, say hi to Cammy and Gumpa and Leona and Robert. Robbie and I will be with you soon. Annie and I will be with you soon. Say, vaya con Dios. May God be with you.
Fourth and final take for Dixie Lee, and it's coming up right away. Here we go today.
Now, when I was just a toddler, before I could count to 3, I used to say, put me in my stroller, let's go down to Dixie Lee, ba-da-ba-da-ba, ooh-wee. Dixie Lee, ba-da-ba-da-ba, when you're feeling hungry, what a great place to be. And now that I'm older, my children say to me, they say, come on, let's head on over. Guess where? To Dixie Lee, ba-da-ba-da-ba, ooh-wee. Dixie Lee, a chicken and seafood menu for the whole family. Dixie Lee.
Sort of makes me want to go out and get some chicken. Certain people come into your life and make you realize how blessed you are. Whenever I was in an audience where Robbie, in various band configurations, who he played with, I always knew how lucky I was to be there, to be touched by his words, to be touched by his poetry, to be touched by his really lyrical soul. 6 years ago, Robbie and Kathleen came over to Brown Bay and performed at my son and my daughter-in-law's wedding. And every time they would go on tour down into the States, we were part of their Southern Swing, where they'd come into Atlanta and entertain all of our family and our friends. And we were always so grateful for those opportunities to expose people to this wonderful musician and this very, very sweet man. I really feel Robbie's soul here today. And I'm really hopeful, Robbie, that you are not resting too peacefully right now. Because I really hope that somewhere you are playing at a kitchen party and that you're rocking it out and you're entertaining people and you're touching them with that beautiful, sweet soul of yours. Thank you, Robbie, for letting me be a very small part of your life. Thank you.
Everybody say hi to their neighbor.
We've been cooped up at the studio all day.
It's true.
This is how much we get. See this much? That's how much we get of the day.
Sun. You got it. You got
See?
it right there.
That little tiny sunset. That's all we get.
Yep.
Come, all ye wise of simple men, skippers and mates and deckhands, to the man the cargo ships again, skippers and mates and deckhands. We place no stock in rank nor name, skippers and mates and deckhands. To the rolling seas you're all the same, skippers and mates and deckhands. Oh, ye hail and hearty sailors, hoist the sails once more. There's plenty of food for the men that work, skippers and mates and deckhands, and moldy bread for those ashore, skippers and mates and deckhands. Now coins are scarce, I'm sure you know, skippers and mates and deckhands. So sign aboard and get below, skippers and mates and deckhands. Leave behind all your wives and daughters, set the sail, foreign waters, sail on the high sail. Wave goodbye to your wives and lovers, cut the ropes and clear the scuppers, sail, sail on the hearty sail. There'll be no joking with your friends, skippers and mates and deckhands. There's decks to wash and sails to mend, skippers and mates and deckhands. You'll get no rest around the whore, skippers and mates and deckhands. You wish by gun you'd never been born, skippers and mates and deckhands. Leave behind all your sons and daughters, set the course for foreign waters. Sail on the hearty sail. Wave goodbye to your wives and lovers, cut the ropes and clear the scuppers. Sail, sail on the hearty sail. And when at last you're back on shore, skippers and mates and deckhands, you'll swear to God you'll sail no more, skippers and mates and deckhands. You'll pledge an oath to never leave home, skippers and mates and deckhands. Till you hear the call from the briny foam, skippers and mates and deckhands. Oh, ye rugged, salty sailors, hoist the sails once more. Heave, ho, hoist the sails once more. Ho, heave, we're bound to leave the shore. Heave, ho, hoist the sails once more. Heave, hoist the sails once more.
Jason, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm Robbie's brother. My family and I came down here from Ontario a few days ago, visiting Nova Scotia for our first time, and such a beautiful land, and I can see where all this beautiful music was inspired, where he found these beautiful words. I think Robbie would be overwhelmed and humbled to just see how many people are here today and dedicated to his life and his music. I never really got to know Robbie as well as I wanted to. Our meetings were so far and few between. But the time that we did spend together was just really magical, and sometimes I'll remember for my entire life. Robbie always said that there was no halves in life, and that's really how I feel. We spent a lot of times when he would come down and he would come to our house, and he would bring live music into our house, which was a very rare thing. And my son and my daughter who are here today, they were able to experience that, and he brought that music into their lives. And he would play the Beatles, and my son would sing along and help him with where he could, and I think it really resonated with him because we were here today and we're staying with Kathleen. She was kind enough to let us stay in our house, and one of the first things that Jackson, my son, did, and my daughter they would run over to the piano, and they would just right away start playing the keys, even though they didn't really know what they were doing. And I think that in some part Robbie is going to live on in that respect. We shared the same father, who passed just a little over a year ago. And a couple of years ago, Robbie and Kathleen came to Toronto to do a little concert, and I was really happy that my father got to actually see him live in concert for the first time. I really want to thank Kathleen, not just for organizing all this and welcoming us into her home, but when Robbie and Kathleen got together, I really feel it was her driving force that propelled his career into the next level. She was always really go-getter and was able to get out there and move that music. And Robbie out in Nova Scotia and around North America, and it was because of her that I got to see him probably a lot more than I normally would have, and a lot more memories than I normally would have, and for that, thank you. I'd give anything to hear him play live one more time. Thank you.
Somebody came up to me while I was performing at a folk festival in Lunenburg last summer. And he just said in a casual way, Robbie, why don't you put out your own cassette or something so that if people wanted your music, they could just have it. And I thought, yeah, why don't I do that? And so then I went about trying to figure out a way to make it happen. I've got a 6-track mixer in my studio, and I have some reverb effects and reel-to-reel machine and so on. And I just gradually, bit by bit, put down the instruments. I ended up playing all the instruments myself. It was just me and the mirror in the studio. A lot of help outside the studio, you better believe it. But inside, it was just me playing the instruments. So the result was this first album, I Think It's Time.
Riding the riverboat on its journey, Lord, it's a long, long way, but it's turning mild on the old Missouri with the sun cutting through the gray. I've been working up north of Person.
Hello. I met Robbie at the same time I met John, Paul, George, and Ringo. My parents set me up with a cassette boombox, and other than some children's titles, Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Looney Tunes, books on tape, I had 2 real cassettes, Abbey Road by the Beatles and I Think It's Time by Robbie Smith. I held both albums at the same stature and knew every song by heart. Oh Life, Riding the Riverboat, Hampton Whaler, and another of my favorites from that album, Carefree Smiles, were all songs that I loved and grew up with. I can't remember meeting him, I just always knew Robbie. I remember my dad saying, "You know, Al, Robbie's probably the most professional musician you know." And I really looked up to him and was inspired by his songwriting, his recording studio abilities, and his flawless musicianship. Sometime when I was in junior high, Robbie had stopped over at our house on the weekend with the beginning of a song idea. He was figuring out the chord structure and lyric direction in our basement music room with my dad backing him on guitar. My mom, listening from the other room, came over with a verse of lyrics to add in, and all four of us became absorbed in the songwriting process. I tasked myself with operating the tape machine and making certain that every little idea was captured. I think that was the first time I recorded Robbie Smith. Robbie and I became great friends as I grew up, and sharing our love of the Beatles, of songwriting, and of well-produced headphone albums. When I started my own studio business after graduating, Robbie sent some of his previous Roundhouse studio clients my way. The brand new duo Naming the Twins also started recording there, with their music together becoming some of the most intense and creative projects I've had the opportunity to work on in the studio. Over the last 8 years, Robbie and I got together every now and then when we both had free time to jam and write, just the two of us in the studio. Free time are the key words because neither of us had much of it. But it was usually about once a year in the spring, most times when Kathleen and Rolly were on a much-needed vacation trip. Sometimes we considered it a real album project where each of us would contribute songs for each other to collaborate on, and other years it was just a therapeutic way to zone out together in an endless jam of musical ideas. I have a hard drive full of these multi-hour jam recordings that date right up to last year. So, I'm about to play a recording that came out of this Robbie Alex project. Robbie brought the song to me early on, called Part of the Song. It was one he'd written a few years earlier but wanted to collaborate with me on, and he was adamant that I sang the bridge. Since the initial bed track dated 2011, we've been adding instruments and polishing it very slowly since then. When Robbie went into the hospital last winter, I went back and listened to this song, and to my amazement, it was basically done. He gave me a bit more guidance from afar on harmony vocals that he thought I should sing, and I spent some time mixing it down in the studio. This song is biographical of Robbie and how he viewed the role of music in his life. It's skillfully written, as all of his songs are, and perfectly sums up how I want to remember him. I'll always miss him, but as you'll hear him say in these lyrics, the ending is part of the song.
I spend my time not with people but with melodies and rhymes, and my restless mind keeps finding new directions as my temperature climbs. But when the music's flowing into dream light, with all my senses glowing till they take flight, the soul of the music released from the heart of the song. And so I drift away, recalling fallen heroes as their music plays. And I saw Stevie Ray following Brother Jimmy, hey, through a purple haze. And to hear what they were playing gave me sad eyes. They turned to me saying, brother, don't cry. We knew from the start that the ending was part of the song. It was part of the song. It's alright, it's alright. The ending is part of the song.
Music was a gift. It seemed to come from above. Yes, it was a gift. It was almost like love. Ooh, almost like love. Ooh, almost like love.
And so I spend my days trapped inside a soundscape that leads to endless passageways. I know I'll end my days trying to find my way through the music maze. But when I reach the ending, lost in deep sleep, with all my colors blending, brothers, don't weep. I knew from the start that the ending was part of the song. It was part of the song. It's alright, it's alright. The ending is part of the soul of the music, released from the heart of. I knew from the start, the ending is part of the song.
1, 2, 3.
Myself to the music. There's nothing else but the music. I'm giving my heart to the music.
I'm Rich Warren, host of WFMT Radio's The Midnight Special and Folk Stage in Chicago. Robbie Smith captured the poetry of the sea and its surroundings with a power and presence similar to Stan Rogers. Robbie evoked a spirit of home and place that dwelled in the heart as well as pleasing the mind. His uncontrived songs take the listener on a journey not soon forgotten. My favorite song of his always will be Dry Land. As a person, he lacked pretense and posturing. He simply desired to share friendship and art in conversation as in music. I regret that although he left many unpublished songs behind, we'll never hear them in his voice.
I don't have much time. I'm here from Nova Scotia. I'm a musician, and I'm part of a duo, and Kathleen keeps me pretty busy. She's always thinking of what the next thing we're going to do is. But I'm doing a show tonight at the Canoe Club, and maybe, maybe we could just connect and have a drink or something after the show. I'll make sure that Kathleen is coiling some cables and get her busy, and then, we just might have a little bit of time to really kind of get to know each other. What do you think?
And that's the Robbie that I know and love. Boy, what else can I say? There's been so many beautiful things said today already. We all know about Robbie's incredibly beautiful songwriting style. I don't need to tell you that. He had other talents when it came to writing, though. And sometimes his notes had to be very direct. When you tour with someone like Robbie, you're bound to find notes outside his bedroom door that were left for me to be found when I woke up. Hi, please let me sleep in. I had major Charlie horses earlier. Thanks, Robbie. Kath, don't eat the pineapple, the canned pineapple in the fridge. I did, and woke up with, well, I won't read about the problems that he woke up with. I'm going to sleep for a while, because I was up for hours. I drank lots of water, and now I'm feeling like sleeping it off. Robbie. Could not sleep. Please, no wakey pa, even if il fait soleil. He often turned his writing talents to thank you notes that we needed to have done. My mommy always taught me that if you stayed at someone's house or they did a house concert for you, you should send them a thank you note. And often they were so incredibly poetic. What would we do without the Marys and Bryans of this world? The artists like ourselves would go out for an occasional canoe trip on Lake Nowhere, paddling lopsidedly in circles in search of someone to listen to us other than the loons, a bailing can partly filled with ideas kicking around at our feet. Seriously, every once in a while it wells up in us how fortunate we are to have been given such hopeful opportunities. Your interest, enthusiasm, and support has blown us away. It's hard to find proper words to describe our gratitude. Look for it in the expression on our faces when we sing for you. Take care. With our best regards, health and harmony, Robbie and Kath. I always made him sign my name, too. This is my favorite thank you note he ever wrote. Instead of saying, "Dear Jackie, thank you for hosting us and hosting a house concert and letting us stay over," he addressed it to Millie and Tucker, who are Jackie's two dogs. And he just expresses his love for Millie and Tucker here. I love Millie and Tucker because they don't reprimand me if I don't email them or Facebook them. They welcome me unconditionally and don't hold any grudges, so last time I let them eat grass and Tucker barfed. They like me even if I've had something strong to drink and call them Tilly and Mucker. They don't force their religious beliefs on me. They're quite agreeable when we discuss politics. They don't jump in ahead of me and stay for hours in the bathroom. They pretend not to notice if I've gained weight. And they react politely to my worst songs. So those are a few little samples of Robbie's other writing styles. Dear Robbie, I will never forget the first time I heard you sing some of your original songs at a jam session. My jaw dropped, and I sat in awe and wonder, thinking, what the heck are you doing here in Shelburne, in Mike and Mary's living room, hanging out with common folk like us? Why aren't you out touring the world with these beautiful songs? I can distinctly remember hearing you sing Gull Wind. I could feel the hot summery day, the calm water, the gentle breeze created by the gull's wings. What a writer. It wasn't very long after that we had a chance to try a song together, and the next thing you know, you were taking me along to your shows. How can I ever put into words what it meant to me to be able to be your singing partner for 11 years? The beauty of your songs, the harmony we created, the friendships we fostered, the thousands of miles we traveled, the music we shared with audiences from Chicago, Illinois to Rhode Island, PEI, from Cape Breton to Florida and back, were all part of a trip of a lifetime. My musical twin, we lived more in those 11 years than a lot of people live in a lifetime. Rest assured, I will keep on singing. Your songs will not be forgotten. Thank you, Robbie, for enriching my life beyond measure. And I wanted to read this little quote from our friend Al Chaddock, who sent this to Robbie when he found out that Robbie was ill. He said, Robbie, I'm so sorry to hear of your illness. Fear not. All is one and divinely eternal. You've given it a good shot, my friend. The sounds will radiate outward in all directions forever. A good life indeed. Thank you.
Here's a memory from Paul Kellogg. Robbie to me has been one of those lions of music here in Nova Scotia. No war, just great gentleness as he expressed the beauty of life and nature around him through his writing, playing, and singing. The first time I heard him was with Kathleen and the newly formed duo naming the Twins at Art Cole's barn. Robbie stopped me in my tracks as he, like Lightfoot and Mitchell, and only a few, had that quintessential folk voice, a purity that harkened back to earlier days and hard to find today. It was delightful to watch them grow, expand, weave their own unique and beautiful fabric of NTT. Robbie always gave more to us than he received, as even our best creative people do. We love him for that. I could tell it was a two-way. Robbie, one rare, talented, beautiful person, enriching the lives of those he's encountered on this path. Paul Kellogg.
If I can get there.
Since we raised the sail.
Hi, my name's Paul Mills, and I've been a record producer for over 45 years. In that time, I've had the great honor and privilege of working with a number of fabulous songwriters, while Robbie Smith was among the best of them. I first met Robbie back in 2010 when I was asked to produce Naming the Twins' first album, Sweet Transitions. I traveled to Shelburne, Nova Scotia to begin preparations for the project. I met Robbie and his musical partner, Kath, and developed an instant liking and rapport with the two of them. The material was all written by Robbie, and I was very impressed. Beautifully crafted songs, great melodies and lyrics, and beautifully sung. I knew this would be a good project. I also loved Robbie as a person, a warm heart, and always a twinkle in his eye. Last November, Robbie and Kath came to London to perform, and they stayed with Bev and I. It was great to see them. We hadn't seen each other in a number of years, and we caught up. It was a lovely visit. Little did I know that that would be the last time I would ever see Robbie. It's so sad that Robbie has left us, but we can all take comfort in knowing that his music is strong and it will live on. Safe home, Robbie.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm here to tell you about the far side of Robbie Smith. My name is Peter Healy. Off and on for slightly over 30 years, Robbie Smith and I spent extended periods of time immersed in the fantastic world of comic books. A place where, as Bob Dylan said, we were forever young. Many afternoons we discussed those fabulous, blocky, diaper-wearing monsters of Jack Kirby, and pondered Steve Ditko's difficulty drawing feet. Ditko, the artist who created Spider-Man. Robbie Smith was an artist. He created beautiful melodies, and he drew lyrical pictures to go with them. For me, he was like that newsboy Billy Batson, who morphed into Captain Marvel by uttering the magic word Shazam. S for the wisdom of Solomon. H for the strength of Hercules. A for the stamina of Atlas. Z for the power of Zeus. A for the courage of Achilles. M for the speed of Mercury. Actually, Robbie lacked somewhat when it came to speed. But in his own way, he was wise, strong, enduring, powerful, brave, and an incredibly talented superhero. Wherever you are, Robbie, my friend, Excelsior.
Oh
We have one more fun little video, and I was going to do a little closing remark after the video, but why don't I just do it right now, since I'm here in front of the microphone. I can't thank you enough for coming today. This is an astonishing display of love and support, and I have to send a huge thank you as well to everybody who helped make this day possible. As you can imagine, there were many details that needed taking care of, and I thank every one of you who helped make this possible. And all the musicians for learning Robbie's songs. They are not easy songs. So that took a lot of work. Thank you. Please stay. There's a lot of fabulous looking food. We had to have Robbie's two favorite snack things, which would be Pepsi and chips. They're on the middle table. And what am I forgetting, guys? Anything else? Is that all I'm supposed to say? Thank you all so much. Let's keep Robbie's songs alive.
Listen to the wind, well it's saying that you'll never find a chance like this again. Been digging like a fool for someone else's gold, when you should be hauling mackerel nets and searching for the shoals. Oh life, give me what you can, another game and another chance to win. Oh life, the follies and the toils, you won't be here to gather up the spoils when they lay you 6 feet underneath the soil. Throw away the key, open up the silver box and set your spirit free. The jail tells a man he's the lowest thing that crawls, when he'd rather be out in the farming lands and working in the stalls. Oh life, give me what you can, another game and another chance to win. Oh life, the follies and the toils, you won't be here to gather up the spoils when they lay you 6 feet underneath the soil. Stepping up the pace, well you think you're moving forward, but you're losing every race. They treat you just the same as they treated you in school. If you don't like being a loser, then it's time to change the rules. Oh life, give me what you can, hey, another game and another chance to win. Oh life, the follies and the toils, you won't be here to gather up the spoils when they lay you 6 feet underneath the life, give me what you can, another game and another chance to win. Oh life, the follies and the toils, you won't be here to gather up the spoils when they lay you 6 feet underneath the soil. Life. Another plank down, boys, sing a shipyard chanty, everyone. Lay another plank down, boys, we'll be tasting the rum when she's done. When her seafaring life's begun.